Friends, brothers and sisters, comrades, greetings. My name is Noel Beasley, and I have the privilege and honor of being the president of the Eugene V. Debs Foundation. I also want to thank my fellow officers, Michelle Moran, who is the secretary and affectionately known as Mickey, Benjamin Kite, the treasurer, and Allison Dirk, our museum director, all of whom have made major contributions to preparing this event. Just a brief history of why there was no award dinner in 2020 and the decision to do a virtual event in 2021. The year 2020 was special because of the presidential election, and because in 1920 Debs ran for president of the United States while serving as a prisoner at the United States Penitentiary at Atlanta, Georgia. The pandemic made us decide to wait a year, and now we are doing this as a virtual event. The pandemic has exposed with a bright light all of the contradictions within our society based in the poverty and exploitation of the majority and the power and audacity of a tiny minority. Following his release from prison in Atlanta, Gene Debs wrote a series of essays explaining and analyzing his prison experiences and his proposals for eliminating prisons by creating a socialist society where the majority own and control its wealth. Following his death on October 20th, 1926, his brother Theodore published the essays under the title of Walls and Bars. Almost 100 years later, the Debs Foundation recognizes the extraordinary work of the Innocence Project in exposing the shameful inequities within the so-called criminal justice system in our country. We have structured this award event to underscore the Innocence Project's determination and its successes in exonerating those who have been falsely convicted and imprisoned. It has been our practice for decades at the close of these welcoming remarks to recite the Debs Creed and pause for a moment of silence. I invite you to recite with me the Debs Creed. While there is a lower class, I am in it. While there is a criminal element, I am of it. While there is a soul in prison, I am not free. Thank you. Music always has been at the heart and center of our award celebrations. This year, Bucky Halker will lead us in song. Bucky is an outstanding activist and a talented musician. I am pleased to introduce Comrade Bucky Halker.
All right, here's a song that most people think Woody Guthrie wrote, but that's not quite true, though he did add some verses. In fact, lots of people added verses over many decades. The person who had the most well-known version of this actually lived in Bloomington, Illinois. Her name was Cousin Emmy, and she doesn't get a whole lot of credit, but you can look her up, Cousin Emmy. So a little about her and also to Woody Guthrie, a song called Going Down the Road Feeling Bad or Ain't Gonna Be Treated This Way. I'm going down this road feeling bad. I'm going down this road feeling bad. I'm going down this road, yes I'm feeling bad. Well, I ain't gonna be treated this way. I'm going where the weather suits my clothes. I'm going where the weather suits my clothes. I'm going where the weather it suits my clothes. I ain't gonna be treated this way. They say that I'm a Dust Bowl refugee. They say that I'm a Dust Bowl refugee. You know, they say that I'm just a Dust Bowl refugee, but I ain't gonna be treated this way. I'm going where the water tastes like wine. I'm going where the water tastes like wine. I'm going where the water it tastes like wine. I ain't gonna be treated this way. You know, I'm looking for a job with honest pay. square music. I ain't gonna get treated this way. Yeah, I'm going down this road feeling bad. I'm going down this road feeling bad. Yeah, I'm going down this road when I'm feeling bad. But I ain't gonna get treated. I ain't gonna get treated. No, I ain't gonna get treated this way.
One of the Foundation's signature projects in recent years was involvement in the production of a documentary film, The Revolutionist. It won several awards and is available for streaming on our website, debsfoundation.org. It vividly describes the way Debs used his time in prison to develop his approach to exposing the terrible conditions in his time and in our time. Here's the trailer for the film.
His critics called him the most dangerous man in America.
He wanted to be dangerous. I mean, he felt like the system needed drastic change, and if people thought he was dangerous, so be it.
But Eugene V. Debs emerged as a powerful voice for workers and the downtrodden.
He shares some of his deepest beliefs about the nature of democracy, about the promise of American life, and the failure of our leaders to work towards those goals.
Speaking his voice caused Debs his freedom.
The photographs of Debs in prison are just full of the irony of America. A socialist, a convict, running for the presidency and getting 1 million votes.
But in the end, he considered himself an unapologetic revolutionist.
In the early 1960s, a group of educators from Indiana State University and union labor leaders in Terre Haute saved the Debs home from being demolished and created the Debs Foundation to care for it. In 1965, the founders began convening an annual award dinner to honor those leading in the Debs tradition. A listing of those leaders is available on the website. Decades later, that coalition remains intact and active. We're pleased today to introduce Bill Trish, representing the Terre Haute labor movement, and Deborah Curtis, the president of Indiana State University. We will begin with Bill.
Hello, my name is Bill Trish. I'm president of the Southern Indiana Area Labor Federation. We used to be CLCs. I've been president for well over 25 years. And it is my pleasure to come to the Debs dinner and everything. This year being virtual, it's something new for us. But I'd like to congratulate the winners of Innocence Project for receiving the award. And I hope you enjoy your time here with the Debs Foundation and the Debs House. And I hope you have a great time. Congratulations.
Hello. I'm Deborah Curtis, president of Indiana State University. Welcome to this event for the Eugene V. Debs Foundation. Since 1967, ISU has been home to the Debs collection of letters, photos, speeches, and other items for scholarly research into a fascinating historical figure. In 1962, with the Debs home about to be gutted, labor leaders, some ISU professors, and others raised $9,000 to buy the home now known as the Debs Museum. It remains an essential part of not only our community's history, but that of the nation. Thank you for all that you do to preserve for generations to come the history of Eugene V. Debs.
For those not familiar with the mission and accomplishments of the Innocence Project, we will begin the award presentation with a powerful video describing its work.
Think back to your happiest memories. Your wedding day and graduation. The everyday moments you'll never forget. Some people miss these moments. the day your baby took their first steps.
I was forced to miss watching my son growing up into the man that he's become. You know, God willing, I'm hoping that I'm around for my grandson.
The day they were born.
You in a place like that, you know, you didn't do nothing wrong, and you have to give birth with handcuffs and shackles in your feet. They hardly let me touch him. I was begging the nurse. I told her, I don't know when I'm gonna touch him again.
For so many, these memories are tainted.
The only photo that I had from my childhood was the one being let out of the precinct. I was robbed of a normal life.
It is a tragedy that Mr. Burton spent some 20 years in jail for a crime that he did not commit. I offer my apologies on behalf of a system that failed him.
One of their happiest moments is the day they were released from prison.
19 years! Yeah! Yeah, baby!
And reunited with their families. But those stolen moments, they'll never get back.
We are honored today to have two representatives of the Innocence Project to accept the award. Each is an outstanding leader, and each is emblematic of the strength and courage of those who lead this struggle. Christina Swarns is the executive director of the Innocence Project and is a criminal reform expert with a lifelong commitment to the cause of social justice. Marvin Anderson was a client of the Innocence Project and exonerated from his prison sentence, and now is a member of its board. And here is the award that we are presenting to the Innocence Project. I'm delighted to present this award to the Innocence Project, and we will begin with Christina and conclude with Marvin.
Thank you, Noel, for your kind words. And thank you to the Eugene Debs Foundation and the Board of Trustees for this prestigious award. We are incredibly honored to join Dolores Huerta, Julian Bond, Coretta Scott King, and the other previous honorees who, like Eugene Debs, dedicated their lives to justice in our country. Over the past 30 years, the Innocence Project has played a transformative role in the movement for criminal legal system reform. Founded in 1992 by Barry Scheck and Peter Neufeld, the Innocence Project pioneered the use of DNA testing to challenge wrongful convictions and conclusively prove innocence. And our work has been game-changing. Since its founding, the Innocence Project has participated in the exoneration of more than 230 people using DNA testing and other methods. Collectively, these individuals spent more than 3,000 years behind bars for crimes they did not commit. This work not only brought a measure of justice to every person we exonerated, it also put a spotlight on the failures of the criminal legal system. So in addition to helping restore the lives of the wrongfully convicted, the Innocence Project works to transform the systems that allow these injustices to happen in the first place. We have changed laws around the country. We have demanded meaningful accountability from law enforcement and other system actors. And we have fought for accuracy and reliability in the forensic and scientific technologies that are used to support criminal prosecutions. As we enter our third decade, we are also shining a light on the deep and inherent racism that pervades our criminal legal system. The calls for a racial reckoning that swept the country in the wake of George Floyd's horrifying murder have added urgency to that cause. Our work confirms the fact that racism and racial bias play a pervasive and arbitrary role in the administration of criminal justice. More than 60% of the innocent people we have helped to exonerate are Black. And nationwide, more than 50% of the people that have been wrongfully convicted since 1989 are Black. Worse yet, we know that racial bias has caused innocent men to be condemned to death and executed. Julius Jones in Oklahoma, Purvis Payne in Tennessee, Rodney Reed in Texas. These 3 Black men are sitting on death row today, notwithstanding substantial evidence of innocence. In each case, the state risks executing an innocent man. Eugene Debs saw the failings of the system firsthand. His experience of incarceration weakened his health, but strengthened his resolve to be a fierce advocate for the poor and marginalized. If he were here today, I have no doubt that he would be an Innocence Project supporter and ally. Before I go, it is my honor to introduce my dear friend Marvin Anderson, who is a member of the Innocence Project's Board of Directors and an exoneree. Marvin also knows the injustices of the system from up close. He spent 15 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. He was accused of the sexual assault of a white woman, and he was convicted by an all-white jury that deliberated for just a couple of hours. Ultimately, Marvin was sentenced to 210 years in prison, even though he had alibi witnesses and no criminal record. It was only after the Innocence Project was able to locate and test DNA evidence that Mr. Anderson was finally freed. Please welcome Marvin Anderson.
Thank you, Christina, and thank you to the Debs Foundation and all your supporters for this honor. It is impossible to overstate the power of the Innocence Project work or the importance of communities of your supporters like yours. I was just 18 years old when I was wrongfully convicted for a crime that everyone in my community knew I did not commit. Racism and police misconduct ran deep in my case, but it wasn't until the Innocence Project took up my case and found the DNA evidence that excluded me as the perpetrator that I was able to regain my freedom. What happened to me was not an isolated incident. Sadly, I've heard this version of my story time and time again. Still, I know it's important for me to keep talking about what happened to me because we have to fix the broken system that allowed these injustices to happen. In December, I would celebrate my 20th year of freedom. In that time, I had raised a family, fulfilled my dream of becoming a fireman, rising to chief of Hanover, Virginia Fire Department. With the support of communities like yours, the Innocence Project can continue its work to create fair, compassionate, and equitable systems of justice for everyone, to free the innocent and prevent the wrongful conviction. On behalf of the Innocence Project Board, the Exoneree Council, and all our staff and clients, thank you for this honor.
The foundation would like to thank those organizations who made special donations to the foundation to aid in preparing and offering this program. If you wish to make a donation too, you can do so on the foundation website. The anthem of the Debs Foundation is the song Solidarity Forever, which we sing at the conclusion of each award ceremony. Thank you for joining us, and Bucky will lead us in singing this song which is on the mark with its message now more than ever. Thank you for joining us, and we will continue to fight for justice and equality. And remember, while there is a soul in prison, we are not free.
All right, here's one to finish with. Old Standby, written by Ralph Chapman from Lombard, Illinois. Everybody's gotta sing on this. Even Noel has promised to sing along. When the union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. And that force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one. For the union makes us strong. Oh, here's that chorus now. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. They have taken Napoleons that they never toiled to earn, but without our brain and muscle, not a single wheel would turn. We can break their haughty power in our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. Here we go again now. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. And in our hands is placed the power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the strength of armies magnified 1,000-fold. We can bring to birth a new world from the ashes of the old. Yeah, for the union makes it strong now.